we'll start with, before we move into executive session, with announcements. As far as executive session is concerned, we have 5 bills left and hope to get through most of them today. We may have to recess a couple and bring you in another day, but we'll see what happens. At 1:15 this afternoon, the Department of Education representatives will be here to discuss their new assessment, accountability and assessment proposal that they are putting forward, and I felt that it would be important for the House Education Committee to be among the first, although there have been others that have heard this information. But I thought it would be good for you all to have the information as you look to next year, and as we also look to the interim study bills that we have on assessment that will be heard this summer. Speaking of which, the interim study bills, I have the teams, and I did put together House Bill 1262, 1432, and House Bill 1496. They're all, okay, I'll read what those bills are. House Bill 1262 is the bill that looks at relative to student assessment data. And that is, as I said, it's an assessment bill. 1432, you may remember, is delaying implementation of certain statewide assessments and studying the effects of delaying the implementation of certain curriculum changes in the public schools. All right, so 1432 is grouped with 1262, and then 1496 is relative to the objectivity and validity of student assessment materials. On that team, I have appointed Representative Myler. He's not here, so that was easy to do. Representative Shaw, Representative Cordelli, Representative Bohm, Representative Ladd, Representative Grassi, Representative Guile, Representative Arsenault, and Representative Willett. And the reason it's going to be done like we did the charter school studies last year, we'll have group discussion on assessment, hopefully using some of the information that we'll hear about this afternoon, and with the guidance of people from the Department of Education, so that we'll pursue it like that, and then there are enough people on the team so that they can split according to which bill they want to work on. So that's the whole section on assessment. House Bill 14. Yes.
I will not be back next year, so I would like to be taken off of that committee.
But you're not through until November 1st. Technically, you are still a member, and you will have to vote on it when it comes back to committee. So you're
Nice try.
It will be
You still use your license plate, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You're gonna be on the committee.
Yeah, 1463 is, wait, no, where did we go? 1433 is the bill that we heard very early in the season, authorizing the community college system to waive tuition and fees for employees and employees' dependents. And I have asked Representative Fraser to chair that committee, and Representative Schmidt, Representative Harris, Representative Spang, and Representative Greenmore will serve on that committee. The next one is now 1463, and that is the bill that relative to the definitions of priority school and focus school. That's Representative Bohm's bill. I've asked Representative Grenier to chair that committee, and asked Representative Petrie, Locust, Gorman, and Spang to serve on that committee. And then the last one is 1586. I really would like everybody on the committee. I mean, you can tell I've put everybody on the committee, some on the bill. 1586 is relative to teacher and student information protection and privacy. I've asked Representative Gorman to chair that, Representative Fraser, Representative Bick, Representative Burke, and Representative Grenier. So, Representative Gorman, Representative Fraser, Representative Vick, Representative Burke, and Representative Gregory. And now you know why we do not want any more interim study bills. And also to recognize that interim studies can convene as early as June for an organization meeting. And then most of the meetings cannot be held until August and September. Reports are due November 1st. At least I have to say the calendar, but it's sometime around November 1st that the reports are due. Which means that the committee reports really need to be finalized sometime by mid-October, so that we as a committee can come together and hear the reports of the subcommittees on these bills. And as you know, there are one of two recommendations. One, that the bill is recommended for future legislation, and the other, the bill is not recommended for future legislation. So that's all I have to say on interim study bills, unless there are any questions.
With a recommendation for future legislation, the committee can also say what that legislation should be.
They can make recommendations in terms of what the focus of.
The time for organizing this have to be in June.
You can, as chair, if you wish. June will be pretty light, and there'll be space available, and if you want to get the committee together just to discuss the bill, maybe identify some goals, and then not meet again until probably mid-August. Yeah, Representative Graham.
Madam Chair, thank you. I'm not very good at taking notes, and I didn't get all of the committees and the people on them. I was wondering if that sheet you have, you could photocopy and give it to us, or?
I'm going to give it to our committee assistant and have her type up the names and send it out.
Because for scheduling, if we are a chair, it's awfully nice to see where other committees, that way we can contact that chair. Thank you.
Would you be able to just circulate it now? Just pass it out.
Well, it's got my other stuff on it. All right. All right, are there any other questions relative to the interim study bills? Okay. The consent calendar is the other item to discuss, and the policy of this committee has been that if you write the blurb, in the event that the bill is pulled from consent, which I doubt will happen, but the bills are Senate Bill 221 relative to private post-secondary career schools and relative to the authority of the Board of Barbering, Cosmetology, and Aesthetics. Representative Petrie wrote the blurb, and would you be willing to speak to that bill in the event that it is pulled?
Sure, I won't say much though.
No, you don't have to. You know how we are at this time of year, we want to get out, so. And I'll do the PI, or would anyone else like to do the PI on that bill? No, all right, okay. Senate Bill 335, establishing a commission to study career and technical education centers, and Representative Grassi, you wrote the blurb on that. Would you be willing to speak to it if it's called? Okay, would anyone like to do the PI on that? It's a good bill. All right. The clerk likes names, you know, she just likes to have names for the schools. All right, are there any other announcements relative to our social event? Has the committee convened?
I haven't checked with Annie's yet. Is that what it's called? Annie's? What is the place?
Angelina's.
Angelina's. Okay, well, I thought Annie's.
It starts with an A.
Angelina's. Okay, that's where we went last year, right? And I thought Tuesday, May 13th at 11:30. Does that work for everybody? May 13th, Tuesday, 11:30. We have a EAC meeting later in the afternoon that day, so we can change it to later in the day if it's better for anybody, but I thought 11:30. That's fine.
You gotta send an email?
They can't seat 20 people. McDonald's, not on the same table. They can't move the table.
They don't have play space anymore, I'm not going.
No play space.
Right, yeah.
All right, so if you would put that in your calendar, May 13th.
I gotta confirm they can take us that day anyway, but I'll send an email.
But that's a good.
And I wanna thank
The other announcement, on April 30th, at lunchtime, April 30th is a session day. And when we have noon break, or lunch break at noon, there's going to be a presentation in room 210, 211 on the new early childhood plan, the new plan on early childhood education. And we will have 4 speakers who will present the plan and tell you how it came about, what it's proposing to do. It will be in 210 and 11 at the lunch break. And I would like, they're going to provide lunch, but they would like a head count. And so it would be really helpful to me and to Representative Grassi to know who would like to attend that particular session. So it's, any questions about that? It will be, early childhood education is moving up the ladder in terms of priorities, not only in New Hampshire, but also across the country. And this group has been working now for about 2 years. And early childhood education in New Hampshire is defined as birth through 8. So it includes the first 3 years of primary education. It is a good plan. It's gone through lots and lots and lots and lots of changes. And I felt it would be really important for House Education, Health and Human Services, Children and Family Law, and Finance to at least have first priority. But you have to say whether or not you're coming, or else you won't get your lunch. And lunch is going to be in 210.
That's next week, right?
Next Wednesday, yeah, next week. Yeah, sure. Raise your hand if you are planning to go. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
I'll take a cheeseburger.
All right, that's good. We're just, as I said, we're collecting a number so that they're paying. Any other announcements? All right, then with that, I will open the executive session, and we're going to do things in reverse today relative to our agenda, and start with Senate Bill 414, relative to Medicaid funded services provided as part of the child's individualized education program. This was a bill that was submitted, and then Senator Stiles also submitted an amendment. So we have to address the amendment first. It is Amendment 1363, and it has that little S beside it that says it's coming from the Senate. So there was no subcommittee on this bill, so it is open for discussion, and I would ask you to refer to your notes. And it's
Now, what was that number? Can you bring that
1363. Yes. When we held the hearing, we had a number of people who spoke in favor of the bill, and I did not report anybody who spoke against. I think one of the examples that was given relative to the importance of this bill was, and I don't know whether it was you, Representative Grenier, when you asked a question about a child who is on oxygen, has to have that oxygen when they're in school. Medicaid should support that while the child is in school. The child also needs oxygen at night when he's home or in other circumstances, and Medicaid should support that service as well. So I thought that was a concrete example that it is not duplicative. Any questions on the bill? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
We need to, I'll do
On
what
the
to
amendment,
pass.
on the amendment.
I'll to pass on the amendment.
All right, Representative Shaw has moved not to pass on the amendment. Is there a second? Representative Grenier. I'll ask the question again. Any discussion on the amendment?
I think it makes the bill better.
It is an amendment.
Clarification.
It clarifies and has the support of both education and health and human services. The original bill did not. Are we ready to vote? Very quiet.
That's fine.
All right. If there are no questions, I will ask the clerk to call the roll on the amendment 1563S, which, and the vote is ought to pass.
I would like to add something
Sure.
that I understand from our member who was on the JALCOT committee, that this bill makes it easier when both groups come for rules
That's correct.
before JALCOT.
There was a lot of discussion on JLCAR regarding the word duplicative, and parents who were receiving that type of support at home were really concerned over the fact that they may lose Medicaid support if it duplicates over on the IEP side in the school. And these services were, like we've heard, oxygen, toileting, all kinds of issues which are 24 hours a day. And this really does help the schools in writing into the IEP those services which will be covered by Medicaid, seeing that they're needed to really sustain the child. And it is a good amendment and a good bill.
Bonnie, Dunham said it's a blue bill.
Bonnie said that she's correct.
There's no. All right, then I'll ask the clerk to call the roll on the amendment, 1363.
Representative Grassi?
Yes.
Representative Shaw, yes. Representative Foreman?
Yes.
Representative Burke?
Yes.
Representative Frazier? Representative Spang? Representative Arsenault?
Yes.
Representative Rokas?
Yes.
Representative Schmidt?
Yes.
Representative Heath?
Yes.
Representative Bohm?
Yes.
Representative Ladd?
Yes.
Representative Greenmore? I'm sorry. Representative Willett?
Yes.
Representative Petrie?
Yes.
Representative Bick?
Yes.
Representative Cordelli?
Yes.
Representative Grenier?
Yes.
Representative Harris?
Yes.
Representative Kyle?
Yes.
19-0.
Okay, now we will address the bill.
I move about to pass this amendment.
Representative Spang has moved to pass as amended,
I'll second.
and it has been seconded by Representative Foreman. Further discussion? Would you like to speak to your motion, Representative Spang?
I just think this is a wicked on something on back and
That's a
Wicked.
good blurb.
That's gonna be your
It's very convincing.
Actually, the blurb has been written. But it doesn't say wicked awesome.
Can we add
You can add that, you can add that. You can add that.
And you can get us all the signatures with Caroline.
Alrighty, ought to pass as amended, moved by Representative Spang, seconded by Representative Ladd. Are you ready to
Yes.
roll?
Representative Grassi?
Yes.
Representative Shaw, yes. Representative Foreman?
Yes.
Representative Burke?
Yes.
Representative Frazier?
Yes.
Representative Spang?
Yes.
Representative Arsenault?
Yes.
Representative Rokas?
Yes.
Representative Schmidt?
Yes.
Representative Heath?
Yes.
Representative Bohm?
Yes.
Representative Ladd?
Yes.
Representative Petrie?
Yes.
Representative Willett?
Yes.
Representative Bick?
Yes.
Representative Cordelli?
Yes.
Representative Grenier?
Yes.
Representative Harris?
Yes.
Representative Kyle?
Yes.
19-0.
Madam Chair, consent on that one?
Yes. Representative Grenier has moved consent. All in favor?
Aye. Okay, now we're gonna move up to Senate Bill 350.
which is relative to access to social media by educational institutions. And Representative Fohm, I have you as our in-house authority on these bills, and perhaps you can bring us up to date or make a motion, whatever you,
Do have an amendment
okay?
to make it's SB 355 identical to HB 1200, which we have already passed. And also on that, which I'll pass out. Also, the Senate heard HB 1200 this morning, which I went to and I have the original in office.
You have the,
Yeah. That's just for copies.
Those are copies.
Those are
These are for,
copies.
these are for Barbara.
Okay, it was interesting that the issue that caused the original amendment, the HB 1200, where we, with the Devon Chaffee of the NHACLU, worked with me on to take out a section that still is still an SB 355 for allowing access, the schools doing investigating, which is could be. The issue there, which was kind of fortuitous that we did that, is because I don't know those who've heard the news recently where some middle school child got $70,000 on a lawsuit by the ACLU because the school sort of forced her to give her information. And sorry, that Fourth and Fifth Amendment. The schools can get information, they go through the same legal process as anybody else does. Or, in the case of Facebook, they just get it from somebody else, so somebody can be bullied or something like that. If you can't, so students also have amendment rights. Also, SB 355 only covers above universities and colleges and grade schools and stuff, which that was our 1212 amendment, which we included in 1200, because the university system and community college system didn't see a need before being anything separate. So the amendment then is to make SB 355 identical to HB 1200, which I also informed the Senate this morning that we will be doing. So with that, I'd like to move the amendment, and I gave everybody a copy. 1378.
right, as podcast,
I'll pass it.
podcast, Representative, is there a second?
Yes.
All right, Representative.
I'm not sure I understand why we're gonna have two identical bills. Our bills already gone to the Senate. What's the,
The
do they
point,
merge or something?
no, the thing is, we have two identical bills. I think that what we should do is either maybe not vote on this, or vote on it, but not put it in the calendar until we see what the Senate
Okay,
does.
I just was wondering how.
Right.
I think we'll go with the latter. We'll vote on it and then it will not go on.
Don't put, and my recommendation then is, don't put it on consent. Wait until and if the Senate votes on theirs before and they pass it, and then we'll see if they amended it and look at it and see what happened, and then we can change our recommendation on the floor to, hey,
So like if they kill our bill, then we can.
Right. We can let this.
or put in an unfriendly amendment.
Representative Spang has a question.
To follow up, if they have killed it, what's the sense of sending it back over to them in the community comments?
Well, I doubt they will kill it. Listening to them this morning, I think, especially when from left-wing groups and right-wing groups all agree that this is needed. And all of us here, Democrats and Republicans, all agree. And the sponsors of this bill were all Democrats, okay? And the senators on the Education Committee, all talking to them, they seem to be in a total agreement with it. It's something that's needed, especially what's been happening, even though Representative Kelly asked the question, if this happened in New Hampshire, But no, let's be proactive, because it's happened in other states, and we don't want lawsuits also in New Hampshire. You know, and being on the news because some coach made some kid put them on Facebook and those kinds of things. So we don't, let's be proactive and not wait till a lawsuit happens, yeah. So it's happening in other states, let's keep it from happening here. So I doubt the same, they might put an amendment in, but then we can look at it to see if we agree.
Representative Cordelli?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I sat in on the discussion in the Senate, and I think the only possible amendment would be related to line 15, section 1B. There was discussion about access to a personal account, and if that would include having a student, let's say, print out an email and hand that to the principal or the professor, whether that constitute access or not. I think the general feeling was that it didn't. There'd be no problem, but we'll see. But I think that would be the only place that there might be an amendment coming forward.
And may I add on that, my argument on that though, is you're a middle school student, and this will apply to 70,000 lawsuits. If you're a middle school student and the principal says, I want to see this, could you give it to me? What's the student gonna do? They're gonna give it to him. Now, if I'm high school and college, I'll go say pound sand. But I mean, get a warrant. But a middle school student, I'm sorry, they're gonna do which this bill prevents that from happening. Now, if it's something that's major, like I read somebody's email said they were going to do something totally illegal, fine, that's a police matter. And the police can get a warrant and search the Facebook or whatever. But when it comes to just somebody, said something, fine. And the person that they sent it to, whether or not somebody sent somebody an email saying, hey, this person said they were gonna beat me up in school, fine, that person can give the principal their email, but you can't, it's just like you can't force somebody to say, I wanna listen in on your phone call. It's the same thing.
Representative Brainerd?
We've hashed this over a lot, but I did want to make one observation after attending the Senate meeting. And it boils down to at what level of behavior do we have the right to violate someone's personal information?
None.
And for me, it's when the infraction rises to a legal level, where there's a law broken and police are brought in. And just to indicate this scenario, you should know that in schools, if a kid is on a baseball or co-curricular team and is pictured holding a can of beer, even if there's nothing in it, they're off everything. Not only if the school got in there and looked at that kid's personal information, but they would have access to all of his friends, and every single kid would be at risk for having that hugely horrible thing of holding up an empty beer can. Or I think here that, and my hope is that this goes through pretty much as is, because a legal issue would have very clear fishing rules, what you could look for, and could not be used to secondarily violate any possible thing this kid did socially. And I have to say, kids are kids, they ought to have a little room to grow up and have some fun. No, it's probably not interested right now.
Further discussion on House Bill 355. There's an amendment that Representative Spang.
Maybe Representative Bowen could explain to me how this explicitly includes K through 12 in the definition of educational institution. I see that you've taken out that it shall not include kindergarten, elementary, or secondary school. Is that sufficient?
Well, this is what we passed. Education institute means a public or private school, college, university, or other institution that offers students physical training and organized course of study or training as academic, technical, and technical. It covers everything, I say, from kindergarten to barber school. Public,
Okay,
private.
Robert, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank you,
or
sir.
I'm trying to think of something, what is something that begin with Z? I think zoology course or something, I mean,
No,
it's.
It's comprehensive in terms of.
Great, thank you.
Further questions? We have before us an amendment, 1378H, and it has been moved by Representative Bowman and seconded by Representative Petrie. I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Representative Grassi,
Yes.
Representative Shaw, yes, Representative Foreman,
Yes.
Representative Burke,
Yes.
Representative Frazier,
Yes.
Representative Spang,
Yes.
Representative Arsenault,
Yes.
Representative Rocas,
Yes.
Representative Schmidt,
Yes.
Representative Heath,
Yes.
Representative Bowman,
Yes.
Representative Glad,
Yes.
Representative Petrie,
Yes.
Representative Willett,
Yes.
Representative Bick,
Yes.
Representative Cordelli,
Yes.
Representative Grenier,
Yes.
Representative Harris,
Yes.
Representative Guile,
Yes,
19-0.
all right. The amendment passed 19-0. Now I will accept a motion on Senate Bill 355 as amended.
I'll make a motion to pass, or to pass of SB 355 as amended.
Second.
Second.
Okay, Representative Bowman made the motion, Representative Arsenault as second, and it is ought to pass as amended. Further discussion, would you like to speak to your motion?
No, I think we've discussed this a couple of times over the year.
Is there any further questions on the bill?
Deja vu.
All right, as soon as the clerk is ready.
I am ready.
All right,
Representative Grassi,
Yes.
Representative Shaw, yes, Representative Foreman,
Yes.
Representative Burke,
Yes.
Representative Frazier, Representative Spang,
Yes.
Representative Arsenault,
Yes.
Representative Rocas,
Yes.
Representative Schmidt,
Yes.
Representative Heath,
Yes.
Representative Bone,
Yes.
Representative Glad,
Yes.
Representative Petrie,
Yes.
Representative Willett,
Yes.
Representative Bick,
Yes.
Representative Cordelli,
Yes.
Representative Grenier,
Yes.
Representative Harris,
Yes.
Representative Guile,
yes,
19-0. Consent?
No.
No, you might want
Oh, I see, we're gonna just leave it
we're
up.
gonna hold it.
to hold it and then if we do put it, when the Senate passes it, then we can just recommend it.
You wanna do, are you doing a blur
Yes,
stuff?
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Arsenal, Representative. Okay.
Before we go into that, I was going through, I happened to go through the folder of Senate Bill 414, and there was a set of papers that were run off that were the fiscal note, a revised fiscal note. So they're here, so I'm just gonna pass them out to you. I don't know if anybody wants them, but it's better than wasting them, so. There you go. There was, maybe you already have one, I don't know.
Okay, moving on up, the list to the next bill is Senate Bill 350, which has the title of Relative to the Transfer of Adequacy Age Calculation Data from the Department of Education to the Department of Revenue Administration. There was no subcommittee on this bill, so I will open it for discussion or a motion.
Have a motion for an amendment. I'll have to speak on it.
All right, Representative Bowman has an amendment.
That was my
The motion is passed.
Oh, pass
Second.
it. Pass those that way, I read it this way. That one. You'll get one. What, if you recall, when we discussed this bill, there was an issue dealing with the word calculation, and there was another bill in the Ways and Means, HB 300, I believe, that dealt with the same material but included a lot of other stuff that used the word estimate. So what this bill changes the word adequacy calculated data to adequacy estimate for the current fiscal year. So to make it consistent and also to the fact that it is an estimate. The data given to, okay, the purpose of this bill was from a bill last year would cause a lot of towns to get their tax bill late. Normally, the tax bills are done sometime in October, and then the towns can get the data by November 1st, and then give people a month to pay, which is the back bill due on December 1st. What happened last year, I know in our town and a lot of other towns, the tax bills in some cases didn't go out until January. And I remember towns start in January, so but you don't, I mean, the last thing you want is like a few days before Christmas getting your tax bill. You know, like, Merry Christmas.
What's happened?
So, bad enough December 1st getting your tax bill. Also, the town has to pay some stuff starting in December. So, the tax bills are due usually December 1st. This bill fixes it. The argument that was done was that, well, the DOE might not have the information. Well, the information has to be given to the DOE from the school districts on August 15th. Now, if the DOE can't come out with data to the DRA by October 1st, we have a problem. The DOE said they could, it's in their testimony. The thing is August 15th data is estimated data for the following year anyway. It's already a year late, because the only difference between that and the second Monday report, or whatever it is now, is because August 15th data, they're gonna take last year's data, subtract the senior class, add in the kindergarten and first grade estimates. You know, and other changes as necessary to do with free and reduced, but, so it's not that, it's an estimate to start with that's already a year late. Now, as DOE works on anyway, they provide quarterly adjustments anyway, so this is not a problem that some people have said. So I move that we pass this amendment, to just changing the word calculations to estimates, which makes people happier, and it also agrees with the other bill.
Representative Bohm has moved to pass on Amendment 1337H. Is there a second?
Second.
Representative Petrie. Further discussion on the amendment. I think this amendment was consistent with some of the testimony that expressed a little concern relative to the bill, but said if we use the word estimate, that would make it much better. And as you just stated, there are three separate payments after the initial one on October 1st, and so there's opportunity for correction of data at least 3 other times. I don't know, Representative Heath, if you would like to speak to that, having been the deputy superintendent, we were talking about it a little earlier.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
She would agree with.
I very much like the word estimate, yes, because it is, though the data is due in August, it does not always come as efficiently as it should, so we do struggle with that. So estimate is much better.
And in fairness, even to the local districts, I learned for the first time, I believe it was from you, Dean, that there are 24 superintendencies that are part-time. superintendency. I had no idea on that. So that would add another reason as to why. So, any further discussion on 1337? It has been moved and seconded. Representative
I
Lyon.
think the amendment's a good one. The word estimate is much better, but I don't think it's going to necessarily cure the issue of tax bills getting out on time. Where I live, it's not the school districts that's hanging us up, it's the village districts aren't getting their stuff in. And so we have to look at schools, we have to look at towns, we have to look at village districts, precincts, etc. And we all have to be on the same page. Unfortunately, we're not all there.
Our worry is the school.
Right.
And from the school perspective, estimate is a good idea.
Yeah. Representative Grenier, you had some question?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I think the word estimation is good where we have it. But I don't think that the school districts really do estimating so much as they do calculating, because they take the data they have and they put it into whatever sort of Excel sheet and they do their calculations. I think for this bill, it's fine for estimation for the DOE, but I think we have to be careful if we were to say, well, the school districts are just estimating the data, because I don't think that would go over too much on the local level. I think it is a little more defined at the local level.
Everyone respond to that?
Yeah, but the August 15th date is pretty much an estimate, because until the kids show up at school and you get the second Monday or second Tuesday report, you don't have a calculated. And then that data this is really what we have, and that goes to the DOE at that point. So yeah, the August 15th date is pretty much an estimate, so the DOE is going to give that estimate, because, yeah, you know from your enrollment data that these are the number of kids that signed up for first grade, these are the number of kids that signed up for kindergarten. But that always changes when come October or September.
And we don't know free and reduced, we don't know English language learner, and we don't know special education. And so you have to do some estimating in there, and those are gonna change in subsequent quarters, for sure. Especially when it comes to Cat 8. So
Okay, are we ready to vote on the amendment?
Yes, ought to pass.
1337, ought to pass.
Representative
Bowman.
Grassi,
Go ahead.
Yes.
Representative Shaw, yes. Representative Gorman. Representative Burke.
Yes.
Representative Frazier.
Yes.
Representative Spang. Representative Arsenault. Representative Brocus.
Yes.
Representative Schmidt.
Yes.
Representative Heath.
Yes.
Representative Bone.
Yes.
Representative Glad.
yes.
Representative Petrie.
Yes.
Representative Willett.
Yes.
Representative Dick.
Yes.
Representative Cordelli.
Yes.
Representative Grenier.
Yes.
Representative Harris.
Yes.
Representative Guile.
Yes.
19-0.
Okay, Senate Bill 350 as amended.
Madam Chair, I'd like to move that off to pass as amended.
I really got the blue written.
So do I.
Representative Grenier.
I'll second it.
Ought to pass, Representative Bowman.
That's why I changed those words.
Wow, thanks, I'm impressed, I really am.
Fighting over blur.
Quick estimate, they wanna do the PR.
Yeah. That will come. All right, so we have an ought to pass as amended on House Bill 350. Is there any further discussion or questions on the bill as amended? Seeing none, if the clerk is ready, I'll ask her to call the roll.
Representative Grassi. Representative Shaw, yes. Representative Gorman.
Yes.
Representative Burke.
Yes.
Representative Frazier.
Yes.
Representative Spang.
Yes.
Representative Arsenault. Representative Brocus.
Yes.
Representative Schmidt.
Yes.
Representative Heath.
Yes.
Representative Bone.
Yes.
Representative Glad.
Yes.
Representative Petrie.
Yes.
Representative Willett.
Yes.
Representative Dick.
Yes.
Representative Cordelli.
Yes.
Representative Grenier.
Yes.
Representative Harris.
Yes.
Representative Guile.
Yes.
19-0.
Consent.
Anyone opposed to putting it on consent? All right, let's move this, we'll move on to Senate Bill 340 To get the papers also, that needs to go to Representative Grenier. Representative Grenier.
Madam Chair, I'd like to move SB 348 ought to pass.
All right, Representative Grenier has moved Senate Bill 348 ought to pass. Is there a second? Representative Willett. And Willett. Representative Grenier, you're recognized to speak to your motion.
Oh, sorry, Madam Chair, I got distracted. The testimony on this bill indicated to me not only the need to clarify what should be done in public schools by teachers, but also what shouldn't be done. And I don't know if you remember my questioning, but on issues of any type of abuse of children, but in particular, sexual abuse of children, regardless of how many times it occurred, leaves a long-term, a forever emotional wound. And I am not in favor of giving teachers a few hours of training and then have them have any part in counseling on this matter. I appreciate the idea of recognizing the signs, and teachers already have some level of staff development on recognizing abuse of children. If you read the list, it's very long, in particular sexual abuse. In the testimony, I was quite impressed by the opportunity of forming a partnership with organizations of experienced professionals to come in and do this work. My opinion, after a teacher reports to whomever possible sexual abuse, would be after that, butt out and keep your mouth shut. Because many of these children that we never are going to recognize, probably, are self-destructive, have very low self-esteem, and I can't picture how a teacher is qualified to address this in the school. So I was excited with the prospect of this commission clearly identifying what's clearly going into this, and if I can infer from the testimony, defining what should be done, using professionals, and I was rather tickled to find out that the groups, one of the groups are actually two people from that same network, are funded by grants and donations, and already are going into school. So I think this commission is very much needed, and I think it will have, I hope, a good outcome. So that's my take on it. Shortened a great deal, for I could go on forever.
Thank you, Representative Grenier. Representative Grenier has moved off to pass on Senate Bill 348 and has been seconded by Representative Willett. Is there any further discussion? Representative Shaw?
I appreciate Mr. Grenier's passion for this, and I understand where he's coming from, but I also feel that we already have a good system going to identify sexual abuse cases and prevention and everything. I think that this is something that really is not anything that needs to be develop a commission to study this. I feel it is already in place, and I feel that we already have a good system that works in identifying the sexual abuse cases, and teachers have already been alerted to signs and, things like that. I don't really think that we need to change anything. I think that the system is already in place, and that's just my own, opinion.
Do you want to respond, Representative Breyer? Do you want to respond?
I don't want to be confrontational. I will concede that teachers are trained in recognition, but this commission is to look at teaching sexual abuse prevention in our schools. And I think who teaches and who should be responsible for teaching is important. I also was impressed by the comment that when a sexual abuse case comes along, that this particular group would be an advocate. I also want to point out that discussion of, when we get to privacy, at least in schools where it works the way it should, we do not have access to personal information as teachers. If a child has an issue at home, it's quite edited is what we're supposed to know. And I have a real sense of misgiving about teachers becoming involved. And I don't know what involvement is done, and acting where they're not qualified to act. And I think if there's anything that this commission will do, it should clarify that. The statement of my honorable colleague that there is recognition training, I do not disagree. But I think the education part of it is the issue I have a problem with.
Representative Gore and then Representative Willett.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
I'm sorry, not
Mary Gore.
She divorced Al Gore a long time
Yeah,
ago.
I'm divorced now. I had it with him. Getting back to the subject. I think that we do not need to establish a commission, and the reasons why are that, I think that the implementation of the sexual abuse prevention program is a decision made by the local school board, and there are numerous curricula available exemplifying best practices of instruction for all age groups. And this came from Lisa Johnson of the UNH Crime Against Children Research Center. So I think that she is an extraordinary resource for school districts and other organizations dealing with our youngsters. Also, the New Hampshire Coalition Against Domestic and Sexual Violence, in their testimony, they've indicated that they go into the schools and do their work, and as our good colleague has said, that they are trained in this particular field. And as far as best practices go, I would think that Ms. Johnson, who seemed pretty competent to me, she states that the programs are effective, and I would think that she would be a depository and a resource for all that may be going on in the field, the research and review of literature. So I don't see this bill as needed.
Representative Willett.
I have to go along with my experience in both the school systems. We have school psychiatrists and school sociologists, and we have all of these people already. But this is a commission, and I don't think there is any program that is perfect. And since this is only a commission to look into practices and stuff, I think it's an excellent idea.
Thank you. Representative Ladd.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. In terms of the Child Protection Act, which is a very explicit act within our statutes right here, on reporting, we have that covered and extremely well covered. I don't think there's a teacher in a building that hasn't gone through some training on how to deal with the Child Protection Act and how to report to Family Services or Health and Human Services So I don't think I need to belabor that. In terms of prevention education in elementary schools, we have just through our new standards, under rules, and I did this, I quoted the same area when we were looking at suicide prevention. The new health standards which have been established on the national level deal with child abuse. And we reference that within our rules and within our health studies program. To set up another commission to look at this, I think is a little bit much. We are certainly cognizant of this horrid issue that is in our society. And I believe that teachers are aware in watching every day. Now, just to what degree you're going to integrate education into the classroom. You have a certified licensed nurse in the school right now. You have teachers that have been trained and aware. You have a special education process available. So I think that I have not heard through the testimony where this is broken. Where I detected some concern when I heard testimony, this is a while back, I heard one organization saying, the Civil Liberties Union was saying one thing, and there was a comment mentioned about the police on the other side. I have never, ever experienced law officers who come in to work in schools going contrary to wanting to help a child. And so I think all these organizations are in this together. I think commission is absolutely not needed at this point in time. Preventive education does occur. I think every good school district, you're going to see that occurring. From the superintendent, assistant superintendent, person in charge of curriculum, right down to your school principals working with staff. And right now, with so much that we're putting on a teacher's plate, to add more in, and I know something has to crowd out, and that's just being realistic. We are telling our teachers, you're going to have to step up now to a new standard in mathematics and language arts, and soon to be science, and on we go. And now we're also going to say, and by the way, you're going to have to integrate preventive education in this arena, which is a separate statutory item other than teaching the studies of health right now. I think we've got it covered, and I think it's time for us to get out of the micromanagement of our schools and let the schools get into the business doing schooling. And I think our teachers are professionals, and they are people that are aware and cognizant of this horrid issue. Let's let them do their job.
Representative Bowman, you had your hand up.
Yeah, just basically, I mean, looking, the title is what gets me, sexual abuse prevention education, which I think is sort of should be sexual abuse recognition education, because there's nothing in here where I say that we're going to have a course to teach kids how to prevent sexual abuse or report it. The problem is, it's, again, that's, you know, agreeing with Representative Ladd, we have a commission that only got pretty much a year to do something in, and we're talking about election years, so how many people we appoint on a commission are even going to be here. So, yeah, I agree, I don't think everything is being done, and in some cases, I've heard cases where it's overdone, but that's not bad, but I think, you know, it's being done now. I mean, and I don't know of any, and by law, teachers have to report. I mean, they'll get in trouble if they don't.
Further discussion, Representative Brandon?
Again, the testimony that endeared me was the idea of not having teachers in schools.
I lost what you just said.
Not, the testimony that endeared me was the idea that these organizations would come in and do the instruction of the teachers. And I would be opposed to teachers doing that sort of instruction. The other issue, though, is when we go through health and human services regarding any sort of abuse issue with a child, which I have, it is not always as responsive as you might think. By the time they screen and by the time they evaluate what they can do based upon priority, unfortunately, to get something done sometimes requires getting a good state senator to step in. I do not believe the response time of Health and Human Services meets the needs of cases of child sexual abuse, and on that I would take issue. However, I think, and I agree again, that teachers know recognition. I thought the purpose of this commission, at least what I liked, was to look at what we can do using professionals to come in and work with students and teachers. But that is all I have to say. I will be quiet from now on.
Further discussion, I guess I'm confused because I am seeing the bill as creating a body that will look and see what is happening in the area of sexual abuse prevention education in our school. I don't see it as helping teachers identify children who have been abused. That I know is already going on. New Hampshire has the strongest child abuse reporting laws in the nation. Further, I know that the training that is provided to teachers in the identification of children who are being abused is second to none. I mean, it goes on in our schools, and it is very effective. But what I'm also hearing is that there's sort of a patchwork of programs addressing sexual abuse prevention education going on in the state, and the purpose of this bill is to establish a body of people who will look at what's happening and then see if there's a need to coordinate things, to identify models, to make recommendations, to identify opportunities for collaboration. I see it just as an information gathering group who will give us some sort of picture of what is going on. It doesn't even say that they will promote legislation or anything of that nature. Oh dear, I just lost it. Representative Land, you said something. You addressed what's happening in Jelka and in the rules. And when we were discussing suicide prevention, you mentioned that it was already stated under the
National health standards,
National
which
health
we
standards,
referenced.
that those things had to be
Yes,
addressed in our
that's
schools.
there.
Were you also saying that this
I looked
is
at, and
part of
child
it?
abuse is also part of those national health standards.
Yeah, but I believe child abuse, but what about sexual abuse prevention education?
They have a very
The fact that
thorough sexual education program now. You can get from HIV all the way through your diseases, through how to deal with this particular handicap.
Right.
So I have not taken those standards out and gone through.
Right.
If you go there, you can go for hours from one link to another. It's a very thorough national set of standards. But my concern is on this, is the aggregate data you can find, but when you're dealing with this issue in terms of the individual child, that information, you're not gonna get a hold of. That is confidential information that is now gone to Health and Human Services and being worked on in that arena. So we're gonna be dealing with aggregate or hypotheticals, but every situation is extremely unique. I've seen it as a school administrator, and I think what we're trying to take care of an issue through, here's another commission, we'll resolve this issue. It's not going to be resolved like this. It's got to be done through these professionals that we already have on board, and like you say, this state has a very powerful protection act for children. And I don't know of any superintendents, and I've worked with a number in the North Country, that take this lightly at all. Reports are done out immediately, and there's follow-up with the kids, and with all the variables associated with that situation.
Representative Grenier has expressed the concern that he doesn't want teachers. You mentioned teachers, the teacher load that already exists. And Representative Grenier has made the motion that he really feels that this, any follow-up to this is the job of professionals who are trained to counsel and to do other things, and the teachers themselves should not be doing the sexual. And I agree with that. I absolutely feel that our teachers cannot handle any more than they're already handling. But I do feel that it is to our advantage to have professionals who are available. And I guess I don't know very much about what's going on relative to prevention of sexual harassment. So, anyway, further discussion. Representative Arsenault.
Yeah, I feel like the two of you are having separate conversations. You're talking about after these occurs, that there's privacy, so you're not going to get that information about that whole system. But as Giles has just talked about, this is about preventing sexual abuse, not about reporting, responding to. Which I don't know if it's necessary, but those to me are two separate.
And, you know, in the school I had, we had the nurse work, good touch, bad touch. We worked with people which were specifically trained. My classroom teaching staff really didn't feel competent to get into this arena, but I had a psychologist, I had a counselor, I had a school nurse, and a PE teacher, both male and female, which could work as a team. That is occurring within our schools. And I think every school is a little different and a little unique, and you use the personnel you have. But to say that we're not teaching this or getting into this arena, I think that's an error. I think it's occurring.
Yes?
I think we'd be able to find out what schools do have that in place and who's doing it. Though. I mean, that's information that could be gathered and could be looked at, and could be shared. It doesn't have to be like implemented across the board. And I agree that, you know, it should be our health professionals as opposed to our classroom teachers. That should be, but it would be, I mean, I'm kind of torn on this, but it could be of interest to see, you know, what school districts are doing what and through what resources, and, you know, just to take a look at, you know, if there's best practices that, because those things have evolved so much just in the years since my kids were in school and now with my grandchildren, in terms of what's considered the best way to sort of teach our, you know, like we don't do stranger danger anymore. Good touch, bad touch is, you know, but there's been a lot of evolution along these lines in terms of how we teach kids to protect themselves or to understand what puts them. So I guess I could go either way, but I think we should be clear that what we're talking about is how we help prevent and how that's best delivered within a school system, which, you know, I like your point about the teachers. That was just my thought on that.
Thank you. I'm also torn on this. I recognize that there are schools that are doing this. I worry very much about a situation where it is not kind of commonly understood and commonly done in every school district. We know that there's information here and there. We know that if a particular school is enlightened enough to really want to pursue it, that they will do that. They will tell you that. But what if they're not? You know, what if they're feeling a little bit uncomfortable with the whole phenomenon, and they're not quite, you know, knowledgeable about how to get in help? And also, do we know that that there aren't approaches that are being used in other states that couldn't be adapted here? Do we know that there is the kind of cooperation among our agencies, including the Department of Education, the Department of Health, all of these people with the UNH experts, and to look at the whole thing comprehensively? So I think that there may be room for kind of that sort of overarching, coordinated look at the whole issue that can then be, that an individual school district might not be able to do.
Representative Bullock, did you have that?
Yes. You know, when I look at something I like to do is I like to take a two-column system and say, these are the advantages and these are the disadvantages. And I look at this and I say that I don't see one disadvantage in this whole bill. If we pass this, if we pass this, we're not doing anything bad, we only can do good. So I think it's a good idea to have this commission. Like I said, I think Milford is very good at it in my hometown. But if we prevent one child from being abused, I think it's worth it.
Thank you. Representative Grassi.
I think you just tipped the scales for me. I'm loath to approve commissions because I was part of that group that looked at commissions and task force and when we eliminated hundreds of them a couple of sessions ago. So when you say commission to me, I'm going, ooh, how many more do we need? But it is a self-expiring commission, which I like very much. And the fact that Representative Ouellette just said, anything we do prevents one child from being abused. So I think I've just leaned from not voting for it to voting for it.
So we do have a motion on the floor. Representative Grenier has moved on to pass, and Representative Ouellette has seconded. Are we ready to vote? There's no further discussion? All right. We're ready to call the third. I think we're all in one.
Representative Grassi,
Yes.
Representative Shaw, no. Representative Gorman,
No.
Representative Burke,
No.
Representative Frazier,
Yes.
Representative Spang,
Yes.
Representative Arsenault,
Yes.
Representative Rocas, stepped out of the room. Representative Schmidt,
No.
Representative Heath,
No.
Representative Bohm.
Yeah.
Is that a yes?
I think we just switched places.
Yes, no, just, I was,
How do you spell it? Representative Ladd,
No.
Representative Greenmore's not here, Representative Petrie,
No.
Representative Ouellette,
Yes.
Representative Big,
No.
Representative Cordelli,
Yes.
Representative Grenier,
Yes.
Representative Harris,
Yes.
Representative Guile.
Yes.
No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 10, 8.
I must have counted them.
For 10.
10, 8, in favor of
And in
Bobcat.
favor.
I guess it's not a consent.
All right, well, that was a tough one. Is there anyone who voted no who would like to submit a minority report? Again, I'll ask the question, anyone who voted no would like to submit a minority report to the bill? A blurb? All right, then, okay, no minority report.
Confusing.
Yeah. No one knows.
It's not required, people will think what they want to think.
All right. Well, if there is going to be any discussion on the floor, as in terms of the debate, I would like to know ahead of time, so that's, all righty, let's move on, to, 343, and this is, Senate Bill 343, relative to the duties of the statewide education improvement and assessment program legislative oversight committee and repealing the school administrative unit legislative oversight committee. There was a subcommittee appointed on this bill, and Chairman Grassi, Representative Grassi, has chaired that subcommittee, and I'm looking at an amendment here that has Representative Glad.
It does have Representative Glad, no,
You have-
I didn't, no, Representative Glad has another amendment.
Which way, okay.
We didn't send it. Well, we did meet.
Well, who's actually representing right here on the way by?
Oh, thank you.
Yes, I have it. All right.
Yeah.
All right, actually, you had two amendments.
Yeah.
One amendment is 1306S, and this was amendment that was submitted when the bill was heard. And so Representative Grassi, I'll leave it up to you as to how you want to organize it.
Well,
It was circulated in committee.
I would say. It doesn't say anything.
It's probably,
It's better than nothing, but it's kind of tame.
the subcommittee did meet, and we did go over the 1306 amendment.
Amendment 1306.
to 343.
Right.
Please. I'm sorry, Representative.
That's all right, I'm totally confused now too. We did talk at length on the amendment 1306. We had great discussions about what is currently already happening in our schools. The comparison is happening at local levels. The districts have been working with the Common Core for several years now. Many of them implementing their competencies at the high school levels, and then a lot has gone into the elementary and middle school levels at this time. The committee, we weren't all there. Representative Glad was ill that day. But we have voted 3-1 against, for ITL of this bill as amended by the Senate. Well, that was the state then. We've had a new amendment given to us today by Representative Glad. I'm sure he would have come up with this during our meeting and put it in here. I'm awfully glad he's back now, because this amendment makes things much simpler. This is the amendment that's 146-4.
All right, first of all, Representative Cordelli is looking for the amendment 1306, which is the amendment that we're dealing with right now. And Representative Granger, did you bring a copy of your amendment?
Actually, Madam Chair, I deferred my amendment to Representative Glad, and, but could I speak, Madam Chair, regarding the subcommittee meeting? What are we speaking to right now?
We're speaking to the amendment 1306, which is the amendment that was presented in the original hearing, and it was the amendment that was
Read the back.
discussed in the subcommittee.
A little better.
meeting, And the amendment begins
Yeah,
by
let's-
saying, amend the bill by replacing all after the enacting clause with the following. Can't find it?
Somebody do recommend.
And the subcommittee recommends,
Well,
ITO.
we're not talking about it, huh?
amendment. 3-1 was the vote,
This is
according
the
to
one that's
Representative Grassi, and I know you were the dissenting vote.
Yes,
So,
and
yes,
could I
yes.
speak to that
Yes,
just
you may
briefly?
speak. This is what he said.
With very thorough research, we looked up the duties of the Oversight Committee and found that the part of the bill relative to that was more or less just a redundancy, and in fact probably had some technical errors by putting a specific named assessment in place of state assessment. I certainly agreed with the rest of the subcommittee that that part of the bill was, in this case, it's technically the amendment, but it would have become the bill if we adopted it. One of the things that I could not let go, and we have been kicking around since last year, is this clarification of those related activities that we group and call disposition for learning. We as a committee took that out, I believe, of SB 48 last year. We have been queried on it time and time again, and it's an uncertainty that I believe we should put in statute and put it to bed once and for all. I think we agreed that this disposition for learning type questioning should not be part of our test. And so what I worked on and Representative Ladd worked on was to essentially salvage what was the amended part of Amendment 1306, only Representative Ladd, with much more prowess in this area, actually changed the wording to make it seem more fitting to our statutes. And so the point of my discussion here would be that I would not want to see the bill ultimately IPL, but amended to be Senator Ladd's amendment. And I think it will be consistent.
Next year.
Did I say Senator?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, Representative. I hold you in such high esteem, I would think you'd be able to change that.
Select boards now.
Sorry about that.
Somebody needs to make a motion.
Right. Okay, well, Representative Grenier wanted to speak as a member of the subcommittee because his opinion was in the minority. It was.
I see.
Yeah, that was.
All right, so now we do need a motion on the amendment 1306, which is, who's going to make a motion? All right.
Second.
That was the work of the committee. So Grassi has moved, Representative Grassi has moved ITO, and it has been seconded by Representative Shaw. Now, before we vote on this, and then move to this.
Yeah, next one.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right, so the motion is ITL on Senate Bill 343 as amended by 1306, little s.
Representative Grassi?
Yes.
Representative Shaw, yes. Representative Gorman?
Yes.
Representative Burke?
Yes.
Representative Frazier?
Yes.
Representative Spang?
Yes.
Representative Arsenault?
Yes.
Representative Crocus?
Yes.
Representative Schmidt?
Yes.
Representative Heath?
Yes.
Representative Bone?
Yeah.
Representative Ladd?
Yes.
Representative Petrie?
Yes.
Representative Willett?
Yes.
Representative Bick?
Yes.
Representative Cordelli?
No.
Representative Grenier?
Yes.
Representative Harris?
Yes.
Representative Guile?
Yes,
18-1.
We always had 19.
all right, so the bill is open to a second amendment, and that is one that was just distributed, 1464H, submitted by Representative Ladd and Representative Grenier.
I would like to move amendment 1464.
Representative Grenier has moved. What are you moving?
Ought to pass
Ought
it
to
too.
pass, okay. And is there a second for 1460? Representative Ladd will second it. All right. And Representative Grenier, do you wish to speak to the motion, or do you want to defer to Representative?
Madam Chair, I more or less spoke to my